Hello and welcome back to the reading of chapter 20. If you just stumbled upon this video, I suggest you go back from the beginning. I've been reading through my memoir, Rebirth, chapter by chapter, and now I'm reading chapter 20. If you like what I'm reading, please like and share. Use the comments to let me know your thoughts, any feedback. I'd love to hear from you as you go on this journey with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe so you know when the next chapter drops. I'll be reading the entire memoir chapter by chapter. Again, today I'm reading chapter 20, entitled Still Can't Reach Sarah. Sarah and Evelyn had been off call for over a week. I left message after message explaining the situation with Amy, but I couldn't shake the worry that Sarah wasn't getting them. The voicemail system frequently purged messages. If she didn't check in time, they would vanish before she ever heard them. Meanwhile, Amy kept calling every day. Her persistence clung to me like a heavy, soaked sweater, but I couldn't talk to her until Sarah knew the truth. How about we call Carla? I suggested to Mauro. She was part of the backup team, even if only in theory. He agreed that we needed someone to confide in, to check on Evelyn, and to help us find a way forward. Mauro dialed Carla's number. After a brief exchange of greetings, Mauro explained the situation. I'm not part of your team, Carla answered flatly. We met you, Mauro replied, keeping his tone steady. You're more part of our team than Nadia. We hadn't even met her. There was a pause. I'm not comfortable being pulled into this, Carla finally said with a sigh. I'm not the midwife on call. Pressure pushed against my temples until I winced. How could a total stranger now be considered our midwife simply because she was there the day I gave birth? She wasn't supposed to be there. Carla was the one we met and trusted. We never even met Nadia before the birth, Mauro repeated gently. We did meet you, and we felt safe with you. Another long pause. Even so, it's an uncomfortable position to be thrust into. How about I try to contact Sarah or Evelyn on your behalf? I have other means of communication with them while they are off, Carla offered. That would be great, Mauro said, relieved. Thank you. All I wanted was Sarah. I trusted her, and I needed her to help make sense of this mess. My throat tightened as I felt myself hovering just above tears. I couldn't imagine facing Amy again. There was no space in my mind for her name, let alone her presence. The phone rang again. I couldn't reach Sarah, Carla told Mauro. Therefore, I'm willing to come and do the follow-up myself. A pause. But, she continued, I want to be clear. I really don't like being in this position. I'd rather not get involved. We understand. Thank you. We consider you one of our midwives, Mauro repeated, and really appreciate you coming. I completely understand and respect MJ's wish not to speak to Amy, she said finally, if she's not comfortable talking to Amy until she has spoken with Sarah. Thank you so much for understanding, Carla, I chimed in. I felt my body begin to relax. Someone was listening, and I didn't need to defend or justify myself. What a relief. When Carla arrived that afternoon, she stood in the hallway scanning the space. So, where should we do the checkup? She asked. It should be wherever MJ feels most comfortable. My face lit up. Then let's go upstairs to the bedroom, I said, pointing up with my index finger. In the room, she settled cross-legged on one corner of the bed. Mauro and I mirrored her on the other side, forming a triangle. I leaned forward, hopeful, waiting for her to begin. But instead, Carla's body stiffened, her brow furrowed. I need to let Amy know I'm here, she said, her voice flat but firm. Midwives can't keep secrets from each other. The air rushed from my lungs. Her words stung like a slap, tightening my chest. She had lied to gain entry. Please, Carla, I whispered, my voice cracking as tears welled in my eyes. Her face remained stern, detached. Midwives have a policy of complete honesty, she repeated, her words clipped and cold. I struggled to remain composed, but the pressure was too much. Tears streamed down my cheeks. How could she betray me like this? Please, I repeated, now sobbing, please, I cannot have Amy involved. My body convulsed with each word. But Carla sat unmoved, her expression fixed, neutral to the point of vacant. She repeated the phrase, her tone mechanical. We have a policy of complete honesty, and we cannot keep secrets from one another. I stiffened. The room seemed to shrink. I had allowed another perpetrator into the safety of my house, defiling it. I swallowed hard, feeling shards of glass in my throat, and gathered myself. I respect your policy, I said, my tone steady. We were upfront with you on the phone. I cannot involve Amy. You're going to have to leave now. Her body stiffened further until she sat like stone. Every strand of her wild hair was perfectly still. I can't leave, she said. My priority is the baby. That's the only reason I came. She was lying, leaving me no choice. I closed my eyes and breathed. I wanted Evelyn checked, but I couldn't bend on this, not with Amy. I don't trust or feel comfortable with Amy after what happened at the birth, I said, my breath shallow. If she has to be involved before I've spoken to Sarah, then no, I don't want the checkup. I'd prefer you leave immediately. Her body shifted, her facial muscles relaxed, and she leaned forward gently. Amy told me, she paused, her voice now soft. She was really worried about a birth she'd attended recently. She hadn't heard from the woman since. She sighed before her eyes flicked up to meet mine. I just realized that woman is you. My body stiffened. This wasn't working. Her appeal to my compassion was just manipulation. How could she even ask this? Don't you see, Carla continued, her eyes gleaming with sympathy under furrowed brows. She's really worried about you. I stared, expressionless. Can't you see? I wanted to scream. I've had to fight every day since my child was born, while everyone tiptoed around, cautious not to hurt her feelings. Let her worry. I was growing weary of her presence. I didn't want to think about her, much less justify myself to her. I shook my head. It doesn't change anything. I don't want her involved. My voice went flat. I felt detached, barely in my body, empty and hollow. Then, like magma breaking through stones, something surged upward. My throat tightened, oxygen thinned, and a force began to claw its way out of me. My attempt to suppress it failed. My chest convulsed, my whole body shook as I gasped for air. And then I was back in the room, back in the memory, begging Amy to help me pee, begging through tears while she laughed and told me to tough it out. They weren't labor pains, I choked out. It was bladder pressure. I hadn't gone in over 12 hours. Tears poured down my cheeks, every word sharpened by pain. She wouldn't help me. I had to beg. Then abruptly I stopped. My tears dried, and the words and thoughts ceased flowing. All that remained was my breath moving in and out of my nostrils. Carla was sitting upright again, her face like stone, her eyes sharp and devoid of expression. I winced, consolidating these two realities. I'm sorry you feel that way, she said through tight lips, her eyes unwavering. I flinched. Feel? No, these were not feelings. These were facts. She did laugh. She did beg. I was denied help. But she wasn't listening. It wasn't why she had come. Trying to justify myself was futile. The fastest way to end this was to comply, remain calm, and let her proceed with examining the baby so she could finally leave. Her smile returned. She leaned in, her voice suddenly conspiratorial. All right, I have problems with some words that are French words to pronounce them in English. My boyfriend really appreciates it when I take a sublingual pill to relax, she winked, leaned in a little more, then whispered, you know, just between us girls, I bet your hubby would too. She laughed, straightened her spine, then continued, I even take it before my period. Makes my boyfriend very happy. What was she doing? I couldn't make sense of anything anymore. She turned to Mauro, her smile widening, lingering a moment too long, as if she were letting him on a private joke. It might make you happy too, she said, her voice lifting, almost flirtatious. I felt the muscles in my jaw tighten. The absurdity only added to the surreal, fractured feeling of the entire visit. I forced a polite smile, but something inside me recoiled. It was all too much. I was caught in a trap with only one way out. Smile, nod, repeat. Her eyes lingered, studying my face closely. Could she see my eye twitch? Was she waiting for something to crack? An eternity passed. I didn't waver. Finally, she broke eye contact and reached into her bag, pulling out the baby scale. Relief washed over me. That was progress. The cloth sling hung from a spring scale like a stork's pouch in a children's book. How accurate is your scale? Maldo asked, eyeing the old mechanism. It's very accurate, she said, brushing him off. To avoid dirtying the cloth, let's weigh a diaper first and subtract that weight. I handed her a clean diaper, then placed Evelyn on the cloth. Carla lifted the scale, enclosing her within the folds. She weighed 7 pounds, 4 ounces, up from 6 pounds, 11 ounces when we left the hospital, but still not back to her birth weight. Still a small victory. I exhaled. Carla then lowered the scale, picked up Evelyn, and handed her to me. Her nose wrinkled. Ugh, her diaper's wet, she muttered, patting the cloth with clear disgust or disdain. I really don't like cloth diapers, she added. I felt the air rush from my lungs, tension rising in my head. Wasn't this an expected hazard of her profession? Surely she knew how to wash the fabric. Breathe, I told myself, releasing the air with my next exhale. Oh, what a relief, she said, her face brightening. It's dry. I winced again, but held my breath, trying not to react. Is there anything else? She asked. I felt a momentary surge of hope and lowered my guard enough to say, I think my cervix is hanging out of my vagina. Her smile vanished, her eyes sharpened, lips pressed into a thin, bloodless line. The air between us chilled and my stomach dropped. I knew I shouldn't have said it. And that is the reading of chapter 20 of my memoir, Rebirth. Again, if you like the story, please like and share so that it reaches the people who are meant to hear the story. And I would so love to hear from you as you are following along. Any thoughts, insights, feedback, anything that is going through your mind, I would love to hear it. Just drop in the comments below so that I know that you're here. It means so much to me. Thank you again for being here and following along. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next chapter. Have a great rest of your day.